Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, I'm actually getting ready for work, but I wanted to chime in on this because there is just so much going on. And how can I say this? I have some things to say about it, okay? What really bothers me about the time that we're living in is because it has been revealed to me that a lot of people follow a religious doctrine that really implies that Black people are cursed. Black people are, just evil. You hear a lot of these folks talking about how Black people are our lineage, our culture is crime, and all this extra stuff. And it baffles me how there's a certain population of the black community that does not take these opinions serious that other people have made on us as a whole. And the reason why is because I was always raised, if somebody calls you the N word, you show them why, you show them otherwise, right? Meaning that I'm not going to put my hands on you. I'm just going to rise above you because I'm not as ignorant as you, which that's what the word used to mean, right? So I see all these folks talking about how Blacks are this and they're religiously like this is what they're taught in church. This is what their pastors teach them in the Bible. And so when you look at it from this understanding, you realize that a lot of these folks that are racist, right, that do despise Black people in the way that they claim that they do, they are. It's indoctrinated in them. It's not something that you can really fight with logic, and really argue against with logic, right? Um, and it really disheartens me because it shows me that there's not enough, how can I say this, enough forward movement within, trying to work together as people. I know that Caucasians feel like, their way of life is the best way, and maybe Blacks don't have such a great life. And I don't know if that, again, I don't know if that's everybody's table, but I know that those conversations are being had at some people's table. And so it really bothers me to see that our country is really just put a mask on temporarily. It was like a band-aid, right? To act like racism didn't exist. Now, with that said, I understand there's quote unquote Black fatigue, as people will call it. But I also think that people have to be responsible for the choices that they've made, even if it's not them, but maybe their grandparents, right? Maybe because at the end of the day, all choices that people have made, as you see with some folks in who are living right now who can't afford a home or can't afford certain things in life, and they blame the baby boomers for their choices, right? So I'm just saying, um, we have to look at history, the things that have been corrected, because there's a lot of things that have not been corrected. They've just kind of been glanced over. And so what happens is we live in a time right now where folks are being held accountable, but it's also a time to wake certain types of people up to see that everything ain't smelling like roses. All right. Now, with that said, you got an Erika Kirk, who me personally, I did not take serious from day one. I've been refraining from talking about this topic. One, because I'm not gonna follow, no offense, I'm not about to follow an Erika Kirk just to figure out certain things, or, I don't have time for that. Like, I'm gonna be honest. It's no shade to her, but that's just not really my steez. That's not my interest, right? I barely listen to Candace, although I will say that what Candace is really discussing right now, I think is very valid. I think for her to question certain things that the police should have been questioning, I think it's 100% valid. I think it's fair. I think when you're dealing with intellectuals, this is what they do. So when Candace says she had to have known, when she goes in front of the public that folks are going to talk about her, that is true, because you're in the public eye and you're dealing with folks that's all they do. They speculate on public situations. So I don't know, y'all. I don't think I have this thing. I don't believe Erica Kirk is innocent. I'm not saying innocent. I don't want to say that. Okay, let me take that back, y'all. I don't believe yeah, no, I mean it, but not in the eyes of the court of the law. Okay. I believe that there's more to the story than what folks know, and I do believe it starts with her. I think that if it was me and it was my husband, when I know that certain cases are getting unsolved every single day, I would want to know more. I would want to ask questions where the questions don't match, because like a wife knows if something like that was to happen to her husband. You know your husband. You know the dynamics. You know more than what folks lead on. She knows a little bit more. And so I just feel like it was indeed what Candace is saying. And I don't know. I couldn't do the acting. The acting thing was very odd to me. I know that the conversation is, hey, kind of trying to steer what happened, a dark moment, and try to bring some light to it, and positive thinking and all this extra stuff. But it's the way it was handled. I feel like certain reactions are just natural, right? I ain't never had, to be fair, I've never had someone super, super dear to me. Well, yeah, I have. Someone I know recently passed away, but like not to the point where, no, I started crying, but I already knew that person was going to pass. So I look at that situation. And then you've got Nicki Minaj, who just stepped on stage and sat down with Erika Kirk. And I'll say this, for those who don't know, when a person, usually how this goes, hence, well, we'll get there later, but usually people who make a certain kind of money, they vote a certain way. And it does look different from when you have no money and you vote a certain way. So seeing Nicki Minaj out on that stage for me wasn't abnormal. It was like the idea of her being a Republican didn't shock me. It just so happens when a person makes a certain kind of money, the conversations that you have look different. The lifestyle that you live is a little different. So you're going to vote based upon what's best for your pockets. I almost go to bet she probably voted for him. When you are making a certain kind of money, you're naturally, I don't want to say naturally, because this is not for everybody. Obviously, there's exceptions to my thought process here. But being someone that's came from having no money to some money, right? My thought patterns change. The things that I would think about change. The things I blamed America for change. The things I blamed Caucasians for may have changed. The things I just blamed and had no control over and was just allowing it to control me, I no longer think the same about them. Hell, I don't even think of problems the same way I used to think of problems. There are no problems. So I'm not surprised to see Nicki sit down. Well, I am surprised to see her sit down with Erika Kirk. I'm not surprised, but I'm kind of disgusted, right? However, I wouldn't be surprised if she sat down with Trump or the vice president, or like, and what I mean by that is not because she's intelligent enough to be in those circles, but because this is kind of how I expected her to go. Me personally, I'm not sitting down with Erika Kirk. I don't think Erika Kirk will ever give me the time of day anyway, but I don't feel once I feel like a person is not being genuine and sincere in their actions and behaviors, I start to lose. I have a disinterest quick. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to get to know you. If I do get to know you even a little bit, I'm always going to be looking at you a type of way. You may not know it, but I know it. So I just rather not. I couldn't do it. I think Nicki Minaj, in my opinion, I don't quite know what this is about. Her message to black women was crazy. The whole idea that black women don't allow other women to be beautiful or to shine through their beauty. I can't stop another woman from shining. Like if you shiny, girl, shine. Like you gonna shine regardless. um, and I don't feel like I go out of my way to tear certain kinds of women down where it's not earned. Right? Meaning that you ain't just gonna play in my face and be on some BS and I ain't gonna call you out. However, I'm not the girl that's just gonna go around talking about, oh, I won't tell you what I think of what you look like. Let's put it that way. And that's my right. At least I'm being respectful, whatever. I may think you the ugliest person. I may talk to my boyfriend or somebody and be like, yo, this dude is ugly, but I'm gonna still treat you with the utmost respect. Just keeping it a buck, y'all. All right, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna wear. So this thing with Nicki Minaj, man. I don't know. I don't know if that was the right move for her. I don't know if she's just trying to switch over to a whole new fan base. I don't know what, but to sit on that couch and think she gonna talk down to some of the most beautiful women in the world, it's just not gonna work like that. Black women are absolutely 100% beautiful. I'm not here to cater to the fragility of a woman that I didn't cause her fragility. Her man did. She did. It ain't on me to like boost you up and make you feel like how I would feel about myself. That's not my job. You a grown ass woman. What you mean? Black women don't allow other women to shine in their beauty. What? Whatever the hell Nicki Minaj was talking about, that shit made no sense. The reality of it is, black and white beauty standards are totally different. Black women have always been seen as some of the most beautiful women in the world, regardless of what black men state. Our bodies, our facial features, everything is so much different than our counterparts, right? That our beauty, what we see as beautiful, is completely kind of different. And technically, what our counterparts see as different or as beautiful is different. Our men don't want us super skinny and look in a certain kind of way. Some of them do, but it ain't like a thing. Y'all want y'all's women like stick figures and shit. Talking about that's beauty. I mean, okay, cool. But it's we value different features than our counterparts, and that's okay. So when we look at someone, we're judging them based upon what we see as beauty every single day. What we surround ourselves with, because that's our culture. That's part of our culture. That's who we are. How another woman feels about herself ain't got shit to do with us. I'm just saying, we going through our own shit. I'm not here to coddle no other woman's feelings. How your community has created you to feel a certain way is on you. That's not on me. I'm not building your community. I'm trying to, if I was to build a community, it would be mine. Where there are people who look like me and ain't thinking I'm cursed and my culture is just, violence and all this bullshit that people who ain't never been in the culture, come up with. I would much rather be around other people than that kind of thought process about me. The fuck? So I can't rock with Nicki on this one. I'm actually very disappointed to see her on that stage. She looked good. She was classy. Everything about her was super, super pretty. And I'm glad she carried herself pretty well. It wasn't like how I expected, like a Megan Thee Stallion. But yeah, I couldn't rock with that. I'm sorry. So that's all I got to say on the matter for now. I'll be back with another one. Peace.